guys, welcome back to the Pulling Curls podcast. It's a bonus episode. Today, we're talking the COVID vaccine. We're talking infertility, chips in arms, horrible side effects. How will we ever manage this? Let's untangle it. Welcome to the Pulling Curls podcast. I'm Hillary, your curly-headed host on the podcast where we untangle everything from pregnancy, parenting, and home routines. I want you to know that there are no right answers for every family, and I find that simplifying my priorities is almost always the answer. It's tangled, just like my hair. Hey guys, I don't know where you're finding this episode from, but I would totally love it if you would subscribe to the Pulling Curls podcast at your favorite podcast player. I'd love to give you each and every episode that I produce. Okay, guys, the coronavirus is coming to an end, right? The vaccine has been approved, and I just finished up my second shot with the vaccine. So I wanted to give you my experience as a test case, as a guinea pig. So everyone's like, how did you find out about this? So I applied in maybe May. I just saw somebody post it on their Instagram stories, and I was like, I want to give this a whirl. I was excited to probably get the vaccine first, but also I felt like people need to sign up. People of all different shapes and sizes and colors and yeah. And then they didn't call until maybe September. So I got accepted into the AstraZeneca vaccine. I think I just applied in general. I don't think I applied to one vaccine or the other. Although I have to say I was kind of happy that it was the AstraZeneca vaccine. I feel like I thought at the time, see, this is going to tell you how dumb I am, that it was a little bit more legit maybe than some of the others. Although now, in retrospect, the AstraZeneca vaccine doesn't look like it's quite as good as the Moderna. But also, it was a little less scary to do the AstraZeneca vaccine, I have to say, because it is a little scary to have a full-on new vaccine technology put in your muscle. So anyway. There you go. So in September, they said they were interested in me, but the vaccine was on hold, but they wanted to kind of like vet me out to see if I was a good fit. So at that point, I got about 20 minutes of questions just over the phone asking about weight, height, allergies, past medical history. If I had something that was preventing me from getting pregnant, I do have an IUD in. So that I think was important to them. But at the end, they said, it looks like you are a good candidate and we will be back in touch with you once the vaccine study restarts. So the AstraZeneca vaccine got shut down because there was a myelin issue, myelitis. So the myelin is the sheath. It's kind of like a covering of your spinal cord. And that area had been kind of, I don't want to say infected, but it had been bothered by something in a couple of volunteers. And so they stopped the study worldwide. This didn't happen in the US. It happened in another country. But ultimately, they decided that it wasn't due to the vaccine because they only saw the 2 people that got it. And you can just randomly get it also. So other countries restarted their vaccine study. And then the US, about a month after that, restarted theirs. I feel like the FDA is being very cautious on this. So you can take that as a good thing, but it is kind of slowing everything down. So they then again called me on election day, which I almost didn't answer because I was pretty sure that it was probably just some pollster, which I wanted to ignore. But they said, the study is back on and we would love to have you come get it. So on November 4th, I went in. They did again ask me all sorts of questions. Oh, they also asked me what medication I'm on. They ask that every single week if the medications that I'm on have changed. I'm sure if you're on an antibiotic or you change to a different type of medication, that can have an effect on the vaccine. I only take really like a Zyrtec probably 5 days out of the week, and that's pretty much the only medication I'm on. So I'm a good candidate in that case. I did have a blood draw. I had to pee in a cup so they could make sure that I wasn't pregnant at the time. I had to have a physical with a doctor, which is pretty minimal. He didn't do very much. They did 2 COVID tests on me. One where it's like a thinner swab that just goes up and sits in your nostril for a minute, which I don't love either. But then they also did the brain tickle that goes all the way up, which honestly, both of them aren't very fun. I was trying to decide if I didn't like the blood draw or the COVID test worse. That's a hard choice for me. So, and then I go back every 2 weeks for, I think, almost 3-4 months, probably 4 months. I'm going every 2 weeks where they again draw blood. So I had the first vaccine. I had a follow-up 2 weeks later. And then 2 weeks after that, I went back for my second vaccine. Again, same time, I had to have a blood draw. I had to do a pregnancy test. They didn't do a physical that time. After that, I just got the COVID test where it just sits in your nostril. And I think I get that every single time. I asked them if they run that, and they said they don't unless I show up having symptoms later on. They're very very clear that if you have COVID symptoms, you need to call them. I don't know if they send you a kit or if you go back to them for the COVID testing. So I got my second shot on December 2nd. Just side note, when you do these shots for a whole week after, you have to do a daily e-diary where you take your temperature, you measure the redness around the vaccine area, and they ask you if you have soreness or tenderness, nausea, vomiting, headache, general malaise, muscle aches. So you go through all that. You do that every single day after the test. So for me, when they gave the shot, it stung a lot. So I don't know if that is the nurse or the shot ingredients, but it stung more than I've had on other vaccines. I've had a lot of shots in my time, and I've also had a lot of practice shots on my arm. So there's that. But then after that, it didn't hurt at all. I woke up in the middle of the night and noticed that it was sore. So that was on the first one. I also had a low grade fever maybe that night, and that was about it. Maybe some muscle aches, but really not too much. Like on a pain scale or like how it inhibited like activities of daily living, maybe a 2. I mean, not much at all. On the second shot, it was even less, maybe a 1 on the pain scale. My arm was sore, a little bit red. That's it. I didn't really notice a fever. I was kind of like ornery the next weekend though, but could have been 4 million things, COVID. But honestly, side effects, very, very minimal. And they also said that for the AstraZeneca shot, they have found that the side effects on the second one are even less than on the first one. So did I get the shot? I don't know. So in the AstraZeneca study, 66% of the people get the shot and 33% don't get the shot. So I 100% believe that I could have placeboed my body into thinking that I got the vaccine when I didn't. I didn't have anything that was like so crazy that I couldn't have like made that up in my body. And because my symptoms were even less the second time, I am a little bit concerned that I didn't get it. The first time I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I got it, especially with the redness and stuff like that. I don't think you would get that with just a saline shot because you either get the vaccine that AstraZeneca has created, or you get just a shot of saline, which as far as I remember from nursing school, maybe my arm was a little sore in that area, but I don't remember it being like sore to move my muscle. So as far as payment, I do get paid $100 every time I go into the clinic. They follow me for 2 years. So I think for the first 3 months or so, it's that every 2 weeks where they're just following up really frequently. I know that the FDA wants to have 2 months of data in order to be submitted to the FDA. They want 2 months of data on every person just to know kind of how it's affecting you. I have seen a lot of people saying online that, the vaccine goes and it triggers your immune system and then it's really out of your system fairly quickly. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, the long-term side effects of a vaccine. And people are saying that's just not something that we're going to see. So am I glad that I did it? I am. But today I took an antibody test and I was really hoping that it would show that I had antibodies and it was negative. So I am 14 days from the last immunization today. So I kind of thought antibodies would show up, but even I asked the doctor, because every time you go in, you do have to counsel with a physician, and they are an actual doctor, not just like a doctor of studying things. But they did say they weren't sure that it would show antibodies even if I got the shot. And I'm not sure what that means. I've tried to Google around as to what kind of antibodies you get when you get the shot. So I don't know. That apparently is top secret information. Also, the AstraZeneca study is showing that the dosage that I got, because I believe that I got the same dosage both times, it is not as effective, or not nearly. It's like 60% effective versus Moderna, which was like 95% effective. So at this point, did the shot not work? Did I get the placebo, or did the test not work, or is it not testing for what the antibodies would be for the vaccine? One last thing, of course, being a former labor and delivery nurse, I am wondering what to recommend to pregnant women, since I do a lot of pregnant women stuff on the internet. Man, that is a hard choice. All of the professional organizations have come out saying that they do not believe that it should be withheld from pregnant women, which I agree. I think people should be able to make their own choice. They're upset that pregnant women were not included in the study, but I have to say that would be a tough one for them to really put in the study. I don't know. People are so happy for anything about pregnancy that I think lawyers have created that problem on their own. I don't know how we fix it. But if I was pregnant, I probably wouldn't be in the first round to get it. I'd probably let everyone else at the hospital get it first and then just kind of see how I'm doing, especially if I was early in pregnancy. Now, if you're later in pregnancy, things are less likely to affect the baby. Most of the important stuff has been formed. So it's just hard to make the choice. I would definitely talk with my provider about it, and I just watch kind of the data and stuff. The reality is that most people aren't going to be offered this vaccine for a few months, and there are going to be pregnant ICU nurses that make the choice that they're going to get it. And I think one of the things that I was really happy to see come out, ACOG came out and said, we really need to support whatever the pregnant woman wants to do. If she wants to get the vaccine, let's give it to her. If she doesn't want to get the vaccine, that means that we really need to continue to wear a mask around those women, to perform proper hand hygiene so that those women who are at a higher risk of complications due to COVID can still be safe. So I think that is the most important thing that comes out of all of these studies. Let's support pregnant women at the choice that they make, and let's not crap on people for the choice that they're making, because I did a series on TikTok and I can't tell you how many people came on and told me what a horrible idea it was to even consider getting the COVID vaccine. And I just don't agree. Everybody's different. We're all going to have to make our own moves. If you don't work at the hospital, you don't understand how stressful it is to be in the hospital with this possibly lethal thing, and you're in a high risk category and you're with it all the time. So let's just support each other. Why did I do this episode? I think the vaccine is really important, and I just want to get the information out there that the side effects for me, which I didn't get the ones that are approved right now, but the side effects were very, very minimal. I have a 16-year-old who keeps telling me that the side effects from the shot are going to be worse than the actual COVID. And I'm like, Spencer, you saw me get the shot. Was it that bad? And he's like, well, no. But because he's reading this crap online, he's not engaging with the firsthand information that he had in that, no, it wasn't that bad. And people should get it. So that's really why I'm doing this podcast. If you have any questions, I would just encourage you to talk with your provider. You can always ask them in the show notes. This is like our third bonus episode at pullingcurls.com. And I'd be happy to answer whatever I can on my end. I'm not like an expert on vaccines, although I have probably given 1,000, I don't know, tens of thousands of vaccines at this point. So I am a believer in vaccines, and I do believe that they are the thing that's probably going to send us back to normal, although proper testing and drugs can help along the way as well, because I don't think we're going to eradicate this just with vaccines. It's still going to be out there. But that's my experience with the COVID vaccine. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm a strong supporter of it, and I don't want your anti-vax stuff over on my blog, because I'll just delete it. I have all the powers over at Pulling Curls. Wish I had so much powers over COVID. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope we helped smooth out a few of the snarls in your life. We drop an episode every Monday, and we always appreciate it when you guys share and review. Until next time, we hope you have a tangle-free day.